What we will do now is my second favorite feature after bones and bone animation, because Dragon Bones can not only do that, but it can also animate meshes. I'm talking about it so much, so what it is. Let's get back to the armature mode and focus on this one, the feather and the cape. It has some bones, yeah? And if I move this bone, pause it, the whole thing is moving. If I move this one, the whole thing is moving again, okay? And if I do this, alright, so it's not what I want. So how do I solve it? I'm converting this image of the feather into a mesh. Now a mesh allows you to create polygons inside the image, and then you can edit and move around the vertices building up the polygons. So basically you can grab the little edges and the corners of the polygons and move them around and animate those, which will deshape the image and create the animation you want. Okay, I will show you in a second. You can select the image and then use this one to convert it to mesh, this little blue icon. It's very visible because everything else is white or yellow and this one is blue. That is the sign of a mesh. Or you can just right click it and convert to mesh. Now what is happening? Already few edges appear. And you could animate these. I will just show you now. How does that look? Okay, just a very simple thing. This is called FFD, as it stands for freeform deformation. I could squeeze it and I could make it different shape. So on this keyframe I'm doing this. On this keyframe I'm opening it again, and on this keyframe I'm copying it, I'm doing this again. So when I'm deselecting it, it is doing a freeform deformation. It's already looking good. Something is happening. I can do this when I'm hit and I want the face to go flat. I can do this when it's running and I want to make the character looking bouncy and push him together a bit. I will show you later on. Freeform deformation is a great tool, but it's sometimes not enough for us. So I'm just gonna take it back, just Ctrl Z all the way. Alright, I go back to the armature and I'm showing you why is using a mesh properly with weighting is much better than using the freeform deformation. Freeform is great for a lot of things, but if you want to get full power out of your mesh, you have to assign some bones to it and use the weighting system, which is an amazing stuff here in Dragon Bones. Okay. When I convert it to mesh, this little mesh editor opened. I can zoom on and I can pull this window so I have a bit bigger view. Now in the mesh editor there is these few icons. Here it says how many vertices it has. I thought having too many vertices is high on memory, or heavy on memory, but it doesn't seem so. So use as much as you want in your animation because it will make it more fluent. Okay, I will show you in a second. What I do first is I click on this icon and create a new edge. I draw on the outside and I'm going in small steps. It's okay if I'm on the outside, try not to go in the inside. When you go in the inside, it's cutting off pieces of the image. It's not gonna be visible. Now in the animation, the only part visible will be what is inside this blue line. I closed it here and you see it's already cutting off a bit, this edge. So I take another tool, which is this one, is the modify tool. I can grab these and modify it. Perfect. You see it's nicely triangulating it out, but I can add some more nodes with the second icon. I click here. Here I can add 2. So this is what I have now, and it's looking pretty decent. I can even close the mesh editor, or I can just put it here. If I close it, in the window menu, I can always open it. And it's showing the mesh I am selecting at the moment. Alright. So I can now animate these vertices. And that is great. I can animate them in a freeform way. I was doing it before when there was only 4 vertices here. But what I'm gonna do now is even better. And that's editing the weights. Now, editing the weights means that I'm gonna assign these bones to the image mesh actually. And then I'm gonna tell which bone is moving which part of the image. Okay, I show you and you will understand it. It has some tricks, but it's very easy to understand and do after you saw it first. Okay, so the image is selected. Then I go here at the weight part and I say edit weights. This blue icon appears which says binding. So I bind the bones. It says please select the bones. I select this one, and this one. These are the 3 bones I want to connect to this image. You can see here on the right part I already have the 3 bones, feather 0, 1 and 2 selected, different colors. The colors doesn't mean much. If I would have 100 bones, it would be 100 different colors. So it doesn't mean anything here. It will be interesting in a second. So after you selected all the bones you wanted, you click the right button to deselect. And it says weight calculating complete. You saw the screen going dark for a second, calculation is done. What happened now is that all these vertices were assigned to the closest bone. And how do I know that? Because here in the top there is the weight tool. I can push the G key or I can push this one. Awesome! So what do I see here? So here with the weight tool I can see which bone is the heaviest, which means which is heavy for that part. And I can adjust these weights. If I select a bone, I can adjust how heavy that bone is on that vertex. Okay, I need to add more green into these because the green is here and this part I only want to move with the green one. Even more. Okay. Usually the automatic calculation is fine, but it's fine if you want to fine-tune it. Sometimes you have to do it. At least you learn it. What is happening now with clicking on these little diagrams, I modify them that these are mostly for the green, and I can select more of them and add even more green. When I'm holding Ctrl, I can select more of them. Now if I rotate this, everything moves. Now if I rotate this one, you see the image is bending. And if I rotate this one, the image is bending again. This is what we want. If I go to the animation, go back, I just set it back to the original position. Okay, if I go to the animation now, I want it to bounce with my character. So this is the original stance. Okay, so now I edit this one. I edit this one a bit and this. So when the head is moving up, I want it to be down a bit. This one is down, this one is down, and this one is down as well. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. And what is happening now? That the vertices are following the bones. If I hide the bones now, you can see perfectly that it's a bit waving, that it's a bit changing. Okay, let's try it with the other one. Let's do the cape. It's the same. I go to the armature mode, select the cape, and I convert it to mesh with this icon, or with right click convert to mesh. It's very simple, but I still can draw a new edge. The finer the edge, the finer, okay, reset it, I went too much in. This is the reset button. Finer the edge, the finer the animation will be, because if I use big lines, it can only squeeze along those big edges. If I use fine edges, it's gonna be nice and wavy. My cape gonna be nice and wavy, high quality, or at least higher quality. If I would have something drawn on this cape, an ornament or something, it would be also nicely deformed. Now it's easy because it's just a yellow plane. When the little circle appears, it's already closing. Okay, and I now add some nodes here. The more the merrier. Close the mesh editor. Get my bones here. Select the mesh. And I go edit weights. And I add some bones by binding. I bind this one. That's the green one. Kind of brown, red. And the blue one. Now I right click. Calculation is done. Let's see the weights. Much better. You see here it went straight on. Very nice. Everything is according to plan. Okay, let's see how it looks when I modify it a bit. I just close this one now, so I cannot animate it. You see, it's nicely waving. Perfect. Go back to straight and I go to animation. Let's see how it looks. First of all, I don't want the cape to be like this. I want it to bend downwards. So now I'm here in the animation and let's see how it animates. I check that I'm on the first frame. Okay. And I just modify it. I want it to hang, so it will hang here, or more or less hang. Perfect. Now this frame will be my last as well, as always. So it already has a tween. Nice. And this one is it's hard to find which bone is which sometimes, but you can turn all of them off. Alright. Okay, so this is what we have now. Let's hide the bones, Ctrl B, and let's see how it looks. Nice. The cape is waving nicely. I can rotate it, that it's higher up, that it's lower. It's nice. What else I need is the back. So I do this the third time, and I hope you will learn it. Right click, convert to mesh. My mesh editor window opening perfectly. With the right key, right mouse button, I reposition it. I give it a new edge. Okay, it made a little mistake. And I close it. And now I add some more vertices. Alright, and now I do the same thing I did before. I close the mesh editor, edit weights. With Ctrl B I make the bones show again, and now I add the bones. I want this one, this one, this one. Make it calculate by right click. And let's see how it goes. Perfect. I have green here in the start, some oranges and a lot of red here. You see some of the nodes, some of the vertices are moved by all of the bones. That's correct. If you check it here, if I click on this one, for example, if you check it here, you can see how much percentage is driven by each bone. You can change it here as well, or you can change it here. Alright, let's see it in the animation. Let's save first, okay. In the first frame of the animation, what I will do now, I hide the cape top because I don't see it. And I want to see what is happening under. I want to see. I can make this one visible, but I need only these bones. So let's move this one a bit. Has to go under the cape top as well. Alright. Very fine. And here, as this one went up, this one will be a bit more visible. And again, I copy it. Right click, Ctrl B, let's see what we made. So it's a nice idle, the animation looks fluent, and I just realized now I made a big mistake. Not so big because it's easy to handle. Okay, if I pause the animation, there is this speed bar. I set it to 0.2 for something before and I forgot about it. On 100% speed, the animation is very fast, it's jittery. So what I will do now, I change my FPS to 12. So there are 12 frames in a second. I'm with the control, holding the control key, I'm selecting all the keys and I make the animation bigger from 6 frames to 12. And if I check it now, looks much better. Still, when I want to export it, I would just export from frame 0 to frame 6. Why? Because from here is the same, just backwards. So these frames are the same as here, just going backwards. In my game, I would use this sprite halfway and then halfway to the other direction. So I only have 6 images and still have a nice idle animation. In the next lesson, we will work on more of the animations and we do more complex ones. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any questions, please ask.